All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. Conrad, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Can you hear
Excellent.
me?
I can hear you just fine. So
Amazing.
welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning early, if you're on the West Coast particularly like we are. And we're really excited to share with you today. We did have a little technical glitch I got to warn you about. So we're going to have to show the PowerPoint in this mode with the Chrome around it. I know that's not ideal. Couldn't get GoToMeeting to show it full screen this morning for some, voodoo reason, but hopefully you can bear with us on that. So we do have a great program for you. It's going to take the whole 30 and we're a little bit late to start. So hopefully you'll bear with us there too. And let's just jump right in. First of all, what we're here today to discuss is, XCentium's accelerator for composable websites to show you basically how we can get you to value quicker. The whole message today is about how we can get you to real business value faster and for less budget, so that you can kind of get your composable roadmap kickstarted. And with me today, thanks to our very good friends at Netlify, is Conrad McDougall. Conrad, you want to take a second, introduce yourself?
Absolutely great to be here, everyone, and great to be alongside you today, Dave, and the XCentium team. Really looking forward to today's session, and yeah, I've been at Netlify for a year and some change. Huge fan of composable solutions, so excited to have this discussion today, and happy to be a resource for anybody interested in Netlify or composable solutions in general.
And you'll find out more about Netlify as we go, but just a shameless plug for them. They're incredible partners. We love them. I'm Dave Stawinski, Vice President Digital from XCentium. Been here for about 10 years. Been building websites since the mid 90s, so been around a while, and I'm really fired up about composable. I'm really excited to share its power with you. We're going to take just a little bit of a detour into who we are. So XCentium first. We've been around for about 14 years now, and we focus on digital. So you can think of us as a digital consultancy. We really are full service. We have everything from strategy all the way through ongoing care. Our DNA is really software delivery. So we're a great integration and commerce shop, and we have some excellent, really great engineers that work here. About 200 of us. And we're located internationally now. We opened our first international office in London this year, so that was exciting news for us. Like I said, full service digital consultancy, and this presentation will be available to anybody who attended, so you'll be able to have this to refer to. I'm not going to read every single bucket to you, but as you can see, it's sort of everything from the strategic consulting and delivery, which is really the software development shop, to ongoing care, which is hosting and managed services, and we have a practice that helps with everything that needs to happen with websites after they launch, like content building and content creation. Obligatory, awesome, very proud of all of our wonderful clients. These are some of the greatest people that we've ever worked with, all on one slide. Every one of these is an awesome story. A lot of them are composable stories now or about to be composable stories. It's definitely the trend that we're seeing. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Conrad. And Conrad, can you tell me when to click?
Yes, absolutely, Dave. And again, great to have everyone on the session today. Great to be alongside Dave and the XCentium team. And what I'd like to do over the next couple slides here is three things. I wanted to chat a little bit about Netlify from a platform perspective, more importantly, from where we fit into the composable narrative. Then talking through the value that can be achieved through leveraging a platform like Netlify and migrating to composable architecture. And then last, but definitely not least, wanted to provide some details around why we've teamed up with Dave and the XCentium team around their accelerator, both from a platform perspective, but also from a go-to-market perspective as well. If you could go to the next slide, Dave. Thank you. So the organization was founded 10 years ago, so we've been around for a little while. And we've really been a pioneer in the composable space. We've been an active member of the MACH Alliance for quite some time now. We have a number of folks on our leadership team that sit on the board of the MACH Alliance. And for those that are not familiar, the MACH Alliance is essentially an ecosystem of tech and solution partners that have provided an evolving set of guiding principles around what it means to migrate to composable architecture and the value contained therein. If you float to the next slide, Dave. Thank you very much. So a little bit about Netlify. So again, we're operating entirely in the composable space. And from a sort of solutioning perspective or a value proposition perspective, if you think about more for tech focused folks. But if you think about the standard, or what we would deem a legacy way of approaching web development and hosting technology solutions, it typically is a combination of these different platforms that are listed on the slide here. And what Netlify does essentially, specific for front-end solutions, is we're consolidating all of these different platforms under a single hood so that your developers are able to connect, build, and ultimately deploy across our globally distributed CDN front-end solutions by just connecting your code repository. And if you go to the next slide, Dave. So how this looks in essence is, again, connecting your code repository, leveraging the Netlify platform, and being able to consolidate the typical technology platforms that would be involved in a web development workflow under a single hood, so that you're able to, again, connect everything within the framework of the Netlify dashboard, be able to build solutions and collaborate directly in there, and then, of course, deploy each iteration of your site across the globe. Next slide. And a key point of reference in terms of the value that Netlify is providing, again, from both a developer or more of a tech perspective, but also from a marketing perspective as well, is from a build perspective. If you're thinking about each iteration that you're deploying and each version of your website that you're building, we're able to not only integrate with a number of different leading providers to sort of streamline this workflow, but at the same time, allow both your development team and your marketing team to collaborate on each iteration of your website so that you're able to make changes in real time and navigate through all of this directly within a single dashboard, as opposed to, again, having to navigate a variety of different tools. Next slide, Dave. Thank you. So I wanted to just point out, what are the KPIs that are being achieved by some of our customers? And these kind of go beyond just the framework of the Netlify platform. When you're evaluating a migration to composable architecture, the KPIs that are listed at the bottom there are a lot of the key points of reference that we're hearing coming from customers across to us around site speed, increase in overall performance and conversion, and decrease in bounce rate. But again, one thing or a point that has come across in a lot of these conversations, and for anybody on the discussion today that has looked into migrating to composable architecture, the reality is there are a lot of different platforms that are out there. And this is exactly why we've decided to team up with Dave and the XCentium team, is to not only leverage them from a technology perspective, and Dave will get into a little bit about, what does an accelerator entail and how does it get you live on composable architecture that much faster. But more importantly, the XCentium team and folks like Dave have the knowledge and expertise to be able to de-risk a migration to composable architecture and be a trusted third party as you're navigating a wide array of different solutions that fall within a typical composable build. So with that, Dave, I'll kick it over to you to dig into the accelerator.
You're too kind, Conrad. Thank you so much for your kind words. So let's talk about accelerators. This is why we're here. Okay, so first of all, what's composable? The whole idea here is accelerating toward a composable solution. So what's composable? And I'm not going to take too much time on this, and we would love to. I'll talk to you all day long about this on a call sometime if you'd like. But the idea is, you can see on the left, the kind of old world of monolithic DXPs, digital experience platforms, where you'd buy one big box of software, and all the features that software company thought you might want were in that box, and you could use them as much as you wanted to. Sometimes there'd be licensing models where each one would cost you a little more incrementally. And what we saw happen for years in that was some customers would get to value quickly because they followed training regimens and had the manpower basically to configure and maintain those solutions. But they are really big beasts. They can also be quite rigid. It's integrations are all custom there because they're not MACH compliant, which is something that Conrad was talking about. And they're all proprietary technology, so the developers and the teams that you would need to work on these solutions would be specialists, which was in a way kind of great for people like us, but maybe not so great for people like you. And so what we've seen in the new world of composable is that everything, and I always use the Legos analogy, which I know is kind of an old beat up analogy, but it's really kind of true in this case. So each individual feature can be chosen and curated from the best possible vendor that meets your needs, not just whatever's in the box that you bought. So if there's one vendor that you really, really believe in their personalization approach, but there's another vendor that you really think is where you need to be for content, and there's a great host like Netlify that you want to make sure that you're on for hosting, you can have all of those because they're bound together with a common technological framework that's codified under MACH. And I know that all sounded a little, maybe that sounded a little nerdy, but MACH is really what enables all of those hexagon-shaped things to glue themselves together and communicate and be an omni-channel DXP. So it really is composable. One thing that we notice when we look at websites at XCentium, we build a lot of websites at XCentium, is they all have a lot in common. There's a bunch of screenshots of websites. You'll see they all have heroes. They all have calls to action. They all have navs. They all have footers. There's certain Legos that every single site, right, needs to have. There are also amazing custom features and interactions that every individual brand has unique to it. But there is this commonality, and this is where the accelerator concept comes in. If you take all of those and you put them in a box and you make them sort of brand agnostic, we can hand our clients what's essentially a website in a box using a top quadrant headless CMSs. There are various partners that we work with for that. So awesome partners. And what you get then is a lot of the immediate needs and immediate sort of development chores that we would do at the beginning of a project are handled right out of the gate. There's a wonderful group of features that you're going to see a video for at the end of this, but there's great integrations that we already have coming out of the box. So things like search, CRM integrations, analytics integrations. We're always working on more integrations. We have really great roadmap for this as a product as well. It's got multi-language support, as you will see. But basically what you need to know is that this is all of this stuff, all of these common things that every website needs, and the kind of plumbing behind them that is can be time consuming, comes right out of the box with the accelerator. I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide because you're going to see a video of these features in action. But one thing I want to call attention to is there's a set of, and this is not inclusive, it's just the highlights. There's the core components listed, every accelerator, those commonalities every website needs. We also have business and vertical focused component sets, like for FinServe, so like real world business use. Now, obviously, some of these things are not going to be there. There's always going to be bespoke components that different businesses need. But this is our attempt to try to give you yet another step. So for FinServe, we have things like a fund comparator tool and some visualization tools and a centralized way to manage disclosures and footnotes so that you don't have to manage them on every single page where they appear. The things that banks and financial services companies need. Sorry, my doggy's barking in the background there. It's cute though. It's composable right for us, so I'm not going to take too much time on this either. But I would love to talk to you more about this. But if you are having performance problems or thinking of modernization or making your website future-proof, then maybe composable, it's time to have that conversation. If you're planning a redesign, a composable website is the perfect thing to go along with that, because if you're going to be reapproaching your user experience and how customers are going to interact, it's the perfect time to think about what's behind that as well and how to deliver those features. It also means that you're planning on taking on a sizable web project, so the timing might be right in that respect as well. If you've got obviously performance and scalability issues, we can talk to you whether you want to go to composable or not. We can help with that. Omni-channel goals. I haven't used the word omni-channel enough, and I never could, I guess. But we'll get to that in a minute too. But the idea that all of those different components are aware of each other, so that what you do on with one channel like web, mobile is also aware of, so that it's one-to-one relationship with your customer and the brand. And then the one other thing I wanted to mention is we really do mean it when we can speed things up. If you use this accelerator, and if you've ever built a website, this might resonate with you. You can go from project kickoff to content entry in one sprint, so about 2 weeks. So as soon as the first sprint is over, if you're prepared, then your team can start adding content to the website. If you've ever been through a cycle like this before, I think you'll know that that's kind of revolutionary. A couple of myths to dispel. Accelerators mean cookie cutter websites. So you've probably heard of accelerators before. They've been around for a while. Our composable accelerator we think is kind of special, but the concept isn't new. And a lot of the people that I talk to, one of their worries is that their website will end up looking like everyone else's, their competitors' websites. That is not the case anymore. The main reason is composable, right? You've got this incredible array of technologies underlying the website that you can create all these fantastic interactions with. But it's also the fact that it's headless, and we're going to get into that a little bit more too. But your front end can look like anything. So the box of Legos that we give you, and you're going to see them, they intentionally look very vanilla. They just look like almost like wireframes. They can end up looking like anything that your brand needs them to look like. And of course, collaborating with our team, we have awesome UX and design people here at XCentium, and we can help make sure that your dreams are realized. The other myth is that speed to market means lower quality. That is definitely not the case. In fact, I think in the case of this accelerator, it's the opposite. There's a few just little factoids there. Obviously, software as a service, SaaS, which is one of the technologies that underlies Composable and that Netlify specializes in, means way less downtime. So in terms of speed to market, you've got just a higher quality, more performant website there. We also support, like I mentioned, all of these fantastic headless CMS partners that we work with to underlie these. You have different flavors of the Composable Accelerator that use different CMSs depending on your need. They're all amazing, best of breed, proven code. And then of course, the code that we bring to the table has already been used and tested. So you've got the quality, built in from the beginning there too. So my dad used to have a sign in his office when I was a little kid: fast, cheap, good, pick any two. It was like a project manager's joke. And that really is not the case here. You really can have all three. Getting a little bit conscious of time here. This is just, I'm gonna just brush onto this really quickly. A client success story. We want to make sure that you see this, in the real world, this works. But our client Tessitura, this is a better slide for them actually. So I think the most important thing about Tessie is that when they looked across hosting, licensing, maintenance, upgrade, and the actual implementation itself, of course, which is de-risked and sped to market and a little bit less expensive, they saw a 34% reduction, annual reduction across their digital costs. Really significant money. And of course, all of the benefits of the going into a composable DXP also accrued to them, whether or not they used our accelerator. Just the fact that they moved to a composable DXP, they got all those benefits as well. So they have an omni-channel future-proof website that's curated for their own needs. All of that stuff. Also, just a little aside, you'll see it says here, internal project retro, 5-star rating by XCentium's project team. Now, we're not kidding. That is important to us. We care about our people's happiness, of course. But it also says something about the underlying technologies that right now, this is the stuff that developers want to work with. This is the stuff that technology teams are excited about. And it's not that difficult to go out into the marketplace and find people who are excited about these technologies. So where, as in maybe the old monolithic world, you might have to, look around quite a bit to find people that were experts in the stack that you purchased. It's getting easier all the time. And again, that's really because of MACH. And I think the real power of MACH is that it makes people excited about technologies. And when things like that come along, they're special. Now, hopefully this works. I have a video to show of a demo of the accelerator in action. And I'm just gonna click play and hopefully it's gonna work. And it looks like it is. Hopefully it's not laggy. There we go. I think I got it working. Sorry, I guess it's having a little problem here. Well, here, I have an idea. I actually have the video downloaded. Sorry about that. Little technical difficulty, but I will switch over to the video. And here we go. Now you should be seeing it. Okay, so this is essentially just a video demo of the composable accelerator in action. And this one has a FinServe flavor to it. So you're gonna see some specific features for FinServe as well, but that's just a little extra. And it's a website in a box, like I mentioned. We'll get to the features here in a sec. So it includes a full top nav, calls to action of different types, so you can have different configurations for those, an accordion for things like fax, all kinds of different needs for that. Social media integrations, you can pick and choose, and a super footer. So anything you need to put in a footer, we can accommodate. I mentioned that we have a centralized way of managing disclaimers and footnotes. You got a dynamic sitemap, which is nice for SEO. Geolocation and Google Analytics are built right in. And of course, it has search. This one's using Algolia, but we have various search partners that we use: Sitecore, Coveo, Algolia, others. Multilingual is built in, so if you have to have multi-language support. Quick subscription hooks into Salesforce or other CRMs, so you got a little more and less complex versions of that form. Full blog functionality. Of course, it doesn't have user comments because nobody wants those, but everything else that you could want in a blog. You just get that right out of the box. And of course, branding, probably the most important thing. So you'll see this looks very vanilla, like a wireframe. This can look like anything. So whatever your imagination or your agency or where you work with us to define, we can make it look like that. And then of course, once that's done, you have easy ways to change various brand elements. But the last thing we want you to think is that it's going to look like this. It would never look like this. Like I mentioned before, we do have some fantastic CMS, headless CMS partners, all top quadrant partners that can deliver fantastic content for you. And of course, because of it's composable, any other features that you need can come along with it. It is very performant. Now, obviously, there's different kinds of performance. We talk about generative AI in this respect because it's just speed to market for content. So the ability to get content suggestions or content translations or even generate content using generative AI, that's important for just being nimble. There's some really cool features along that. ADA compliance, most of our customers are WCAG AA, and SEO optimization. Of course, performance, you can see out of the box, it's really, really fast because we don't need this slowing anything down. What's the storage and management options? That's really going to be about Netlify and hosting the head. And so just for a second, I wanted to show this in a more real world scenario. So there are some vertical specializations that we have. One of them is FinServ. So, we have this entire set of features that banks and financial services companies need that help them show, financial product data. We have a whole way of managing funds and comparing them against each other. It's like we call it the fund comparator tool, but it does a lot more than that now. You'll see there it says Morningstar ratings. We have hooks into Morningstar data, which are obviously important for some of our clients. All these different things that banks need, and then visualizations, of course, these can look like different things, but the ability to do dynamic graphs and charts. Then you can imagine the data that underlies this can be kind of like whatever you need it to be. This is more of the fund comparator. I think you kind of get the idea. And we're starting to wind down now. Just got a couple minutes left. And I want to make sure that we have time for questions. So I think there's a little questions bug here in the panel. Are there any questions in the couple of minutes that we have left? How does that work? Sorry, I'm not the GoToMeeting expert.
One question I think we could probably both have some input on, Dave, is, obviously we've talked a lot about streamlining the evaluation process and the value that's contained within a migration to composable architecture. And obviously a tool like the accelerator that you and the team have put together streamlines that and makes it that much easier. But when a prospective customer that's running on monolithic architecture that is used to that workflow and is used to the combination of products that would typically contain within a what we would deem a monolithic stack of solutions, is evaluating a migration to composable architecture. Where should we start? Where should they start? Knowing that obviously there's a lot of information out there. How do they navigate that if they're just in the very early stages of evaluating migrating in the direction of composable? I've got an angle on it. I think we probably both do. If you want to go first, the floor is yours.
Okay, I can make mine really fast because we only have a minute left. We have a workshop for that. So if you're hitting the ground and you are really unsure about what your roadmap ought to be, especially if you know that or at least you're interested, very curious about composable and what that can do for for your marketing and basically for your business, we have a workshop that we can come sit with you. It's painless, it's fun, and it helps surface the the key priorities and most importantly make them mappable to actionable things that we can then do to go and start discovering tech selection, et cetera, because the composable DXP is something that you assemble, right? So you do need to start to form relationships. Of course, we can help with all of that. We've got great partners and we can be kind of the one hand to shake, right? People used to say one throat to choke. I prefer one hand to shake. And yeah, we can definitely help with that. If you're uncertain about what the first step is, just give me a call. I can help you out. Me and my team would love to. What was your idea?
Awesome. So I'll go really quick because I know we're at time. There's a lot of great information out there. Like I mentioned, Netlify being within the MACH Alliance, there's not only a set of guiding principles in there, but there's also all sorts of industry reports and other KPIs that are being achieved from organizations that have moved in the direction of composable, been on composable for a year plus, and are now really starting to achieve the value that's that's available through that model. So I would say do your research, but never feel overwhelmed, and know that there are folks out there like Dave and the XCentium team who can really provide the right perspective around who you want to be looking at based on your needs from a technology perspective, and how to work through that flow in a positive manner. All right.
Awesome. Before we close, I just want to take one more moment to thank Netlify. What great partnership, what a great team of people, and what great technology. We're very excited about working with you guys forever. So
Love it. Likewise.
For being here with me today, man.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Cheers,
All right,
everyone.
I guess that's it then. Thank you, everybody.